Hi everyone, welcome to Zynerd's NEET PG information series. One of the most discussed topics in most forums during NEET PG counseling is permitted seats. There are a lot of queries usually on what permitted seats are, what are the permitted seats in an institute, within a course, etc. When will permitted seats get recognized? What is the impact of a permitted seat not being recognized? And whether I should choose permitted seats or should I restrict my choices to only those seats which are recognized? Most of these queries start from one of these conversations as base. Like one of my seniors had taken a permitted seat a long time back, and he's unable to practice now, or like practice outside state, unable to practice outside the institute, etc. Or something like I know of someone who is unable to do super specialty because his or her PG seat has not been recognized yet. In this video, we'll try to bring clarity to the extent possible and available on most of the queries on permitted seats and their recognition. The source for all information provided in this video are one, the amendment to the PGMET regulations done on 5/4/2018 by MCI, and two, the draft PGMET regulations shared in the NMC portal on October 5, 2021. Both these documents are consistent in terms of permission of seats and conversion to and recognition of these seats. And the draft regulations are expected to be gazetted soon. The link for both documents will be available in the description. And throughout this video, we'll be mentioning NMC and recognition of courses and qualifications and inclusion of the recognized courses or qualifications in the list maintained by the PG Med Education Board, which is under NMC now. See, it is basically like when a course is recognized, the course or qualification is included in a list which is maintained by PG Med Education Board. Now, the earlier equivalent of this under MCA was the first schedule. Whenever a course was recognized, it used to be included under the first schedule of MCA. Now, this is a very fine point. You can ignore this. This is just for information. Before getting into this video, one brief line of confirmation on the discussions you would have heard. Yes, there were few issues earlier when it comes to recognition of seats, and there were a few candidates who had suffered because of such issues. And there were a lot of legal cases against the institute, against MCI for getting a permitted seat recognized. Some ended positive, some did not end positive. Candidates suffered. But things have changed now. MCI, knowing that there were a lot of issues, had amended a few clauses for the benefits of students. So the issues are not as big as being discussed, and the risk is not as huge as being portrayed. Yes, one has to be sensitive, but the risk is not as huge as being portrayed. And if someone is consistently advising you not to take any permitted seat, emphasis again on not taking any permitted seat at all, then by the end of this video, I am sure you will have enough questions to ask them on why they misinformed you. So we'll get into more details. So basically, where are permitted seats, recognized seats used? What is the context? Basically, like you know, in terms of they used in the context of medical seats, MD, MS, or DM, MCH seats, which come under the purview of the National Medical Council. And these are courses offered by the medical colleges or teaching institutions across India. So what is basically a permitted seat? All institutes, when they want to start a new course, a new PG course or a new super specialty course, they apply for prior permission to NMC for starting the course, providing required documentation, mentioning that they have enough infrastructure, faculty, caseload, etc. for starting the course. And when the application is accepted by NMC, NMC permits the institute to start a course through a letter of permission. Therefore, the term permitted seat. So when a new course is started, it is permitted by NMC. Similarly, let's say there is an existing course in an institute and they want to add seats to the existing course. they again apply for permission to NMC to add seats to the existing course. And NMC again permits them based on inspections or based on the documents submitted basically, and provides them a letter of permission. Those seats are also permitted. So what is a permitted seat? A seat which is a new course in an institute which is permitted by NMC, or additions to a new course in an institute which are permitted by NMC. Every institute, whether it is a government institute, private institute, or a deemed institute, whether it is a 100-year-old institute or just a 2-year-old institute which is starting its first PG course, whether it is the best institute across India, the worst institute across India, the top preferred, the lowest preferred, every institute can start a course after the letter of permission is received by NMC and can start only a permitted seat. They start only with a permitted seat. No, so a permitted seat does not qualify the institute at all. It is just that it is a new seat that is being offered. So what are recognized seats? Or rather, when are permitted seats recognized and what is the impact? All permitted seats are expected to be recognized after an assessment by the National Medical Council. When does this happen? When the first batch is due for the examinations. So if a permitted seat is from the current batch, let's say 2021-22 batch, at the end of the third year, that is 2023-24, when the batch passes out, which would be 2024, the institute applies for recognition of the course, and after an assessment by NMC, the seats are recognized. On recognition, the seats are included in the recognized qualification under the NMC Act. So by the time the first batch passes out in the third year, the seats would get recognized usually and are included in the recognized qualifications. What does this mean, inclusion in recognized qualifications? It would mean that the students can register in a medical council and can practice medicine in the specialty. So if it is a PG, they can practice PG in that specialty or the super specialty that they have passed out. And this also means that if somebody has completed a PG, based on eligibility criteria, they can do a super specialty if the course is recognized. Now, what if the seats are not recognized during the assessment? We said by the time the first batch passes out, that is at the end of 3 years after permission, the seat would be expected to be recognized. What if it is not recognized? When the assessment happens for recognition, let's say if there are deficiencies found, the institute will be granted an opportunity to correct them. This is provided twice. After the first opportunity, there's an inspection or evaluation. And if it's still not corrected, there is an opportunity provided again. If still deficiencies are not corrected, then the seats would not get recognized. If the deficiencies are corrected, then the seat would be recognized after the opportunity is provided and the evaluation happens. So the question is, what if deficiencies are still not corrected after 2 opportunities? The permission granted for the seat would lapse. And the institute can no longer run the course from the next batch. But this isn't a concern for the candidate, right? This is a concern for the institute which cannot run the course for the next few batches, etc. What concerns the candidate is what happens to his qualification, whether it gets recognized or not. So in April 2018, MCI came up with an amendment to the PG Med regulations, mentioning that the first 4 batches of a degree course would be included in the recognized qualifications of NMC, even if they fail the assessment for recognition. What would this mean? At the end of 2 opportunities, if the course does not get recognized, the institute cannot continue with the next batch. Very clear. But the first 4 batches of the course would be recognized, and they can register in a medical council and can practice medicine in the specialty. Therefore, the first 4 batches of any course are safe by this clause. Why is it first 4 batches? We said 3 batches. By the time the third year passes out, the recognition uh, process starts, right? By the time the third batch passes out, the recognition process starts. And in case they fail in the first recognition assessment, an opportunity is provided twice, right? So the fourth batch also gets in during that period. And therefore, this clause also includes the fourth batch that joins right from the start. Now, the question is, see, the first 4 batches will get recognized. So where is the issue? If not recognized, the next batch will not even join. The institute will not be permitted. That is the issue. So the issue is only with this set of seats. One, the seats that were permitted a few years back and were not recognized till the amendment in 2018 and continue to be permitted. For instance, let's say a seat was permitted in the year 2013 and it is still not recognized, then there is an issue in taking that seat. Usually institutes don't surrender that seat in the seat matrix knowing that there is an issue. But in case a private institute or by mistake a government institute surrenders that seat, then there is an issue if you are allotted that seat. And second, when seats are added to an existing course from the 5th batch onwards, take a situation where an institute has been running a course in pediatrics from the year 2010, and they got recognition for 10 pediatric seats in 2015. So since 2015, they have 10 pediatrics recognized seats. Now, in the current year, 2021 admission batch, they've been permitted to add 2 more seats. So these 2 permitted seats, whether they fall under the fallback clause of the first 4 batches being recognized, we are not sure. However, one thing we need to understand is this is an institute which has been running courses for a long time, like we said, and it is only after evaluation of whether faculty is available, infrastructure is available, they would have most likely gone for an increase of seats from 10 to 12, right? So in this case, there may not be a risk, but the fallback clause is not applicable, may not be applicable for these set of seats. Now, that's fine, but the question is, what are the chances of a seat getting recognized? Forget everything, the fallback classes, etc. What are the chances of a seat getting recognized? How can you evaluate that? I want to evaluate that. Now, like mentioned, a generic answer to this question is not going to help at all. The chances depend on the exact seat, the faculty available in this specialty, the compliance to infrastructure, norms, cases, beds, equipment, etc. And it can also be evaluated based on the management or the particular state's history of non-compliance or not getting seats recognized. The best way of evaluation is to call up the residents in that particular department, especially the department in that institute, and check these. In case it is a seat which is in the first year of permission, they're just starting the course this year. Even in that case, the department would have existed at least a year. It would have been at least a year old, and you can call up the department or try to find out from other departments as to whether the necessary infrastructure, faculty are there in that particular department and that institute. Usually, if a senior batch is there, they would be well aware of whether the seat is going to get recognized, what is the process, in what stage is the application process for recognition, whether enough caseload is there, infrastructure is there, and what are the efforts being taken, etc. So you would get information on the chances of a permitted seat getting recognized. From past experience, basically, and from past information shared by candidates over a period of time, we know that most government college seats get recognized. Most may not be 100%, but most. There may be a few seats where funding has been an issue. A few peripheral colleges in the states may still have permitted seats, etc. These are very, very rare. And especially when there are seats added to an existing course, usually state governments allot necessary funds when a seat is added to an existing course. And in those cases, faculty would be available, infra would be available, etc. They would very well know that this only if it is available, you will be able to get recognition. So should not be an issue. And MCA has been very strict over the last few years, knowing that there have been a lot of issues candidates have been facing. And with respect to recognition, there have been a lot of issues with institutes going back on recognition, etc. So they've started a strict assessment policy, and most institutes have started following norms. The practice of ghost faculty has also come down, showing fake patient strength for beds, etc., has come down. Will not say that it doesn't exist at all. I will never say that, but it is very, very less compared to what it used to be earlier. Usually, well-managed private institutes and deemed universities, those which are long-standing, which are preferred, etc., which are not the last preferred, etc., should not have an issue in getting recognition. Some private institutes and deemed universities which do not have funds, those which manage with ghost faculty, they are usually the less preferred ones in your allotment list. The last few in every specialty. When you're planning to choose those institutes, evaluate those institutes first for the department infrastructure, etc. And beyond that, also evaluate those institutes to ensure that the seats, they have enough infrastructure and they have the requirements to get the seats recognized. And it is not an easy task, but still try to do an evaluation on those before taking a decision on joining. Okay, fine. Now, these all, what we discussed now was all generic towards all batches. Now, if I am planning to join, basically I'm planning to join this year, 2021-22 is my academic session. So I'm joining a permitted seat. When will my seat get recognized? So if your seat was permitted in 2018-19, the first batch would have passed out in May 2021, right? So there's been a delay in NMC's recognition approvals this year, but your seat may be recognized in a few months. Your seniors would be able to, if you connect with the seniors there, they will be able to tell you the exact status of the applications. If your seat was permitted in 2019-20, you can expect it to be recognized in May 2022. If your seat was permitted in 2020-21, the first batch would be passing out in May 2023, and you can expect it to be recognized in 2023. Now, if your seat is permitted for 2021-22 batch, then you are the first batch. So when you pass out, or basically, mostly it would be by the time you pass out, or a few months after you pass out, the seats would get recognized. Now, when was it permitted? When was a seat permitted can be identified from the NMC course and college search, basically, which is available. The link is available in the description. You can check the permission year and know when the seats would get recognized. The main concern here is if your seat was permitted in 2017-18 or before, then it is a real cause for concern if it has not been recognized till now. We'll look at the next two questions to see the impact of what if the seat is not recognized. So let's say all I want to know is if my seat doesn't get recognized, what is the impact? So if you don't fall under the first 4 batches clause and your seat also doesn't get recognized, the impact is this. 1, you cannot register in any medical council till your seat is recognized for your batch. 2, you cannot practice since you cannot register. 3, if you have completed MDMS and your seat is not recognized, you will not be able to do a super specialty. You cannot register, you will not be able to do a super specialty. Now, with a permitted seat, many would have told you that you will be able to practice in your state or in your institute, etc. That is what everyone says. Is that right? Unless your qualification, so we've discussed with candidates who have not been able to register, and we've also checked with NMC. It is clear, unless your qualification is recognized under NMC, you cannot register in any medical council. If you can't register in your state medical council, your state medical council should not allow you to practice. This is true for a permitted seat across any state medical council. You will not be able to register and you will not be able to practice in any state, including your home state where your institute is. But you would be hearing that many specialists are practicing within your state, etc. There are possibly two reasons for it. One, registration, though it is required, is not insisted or validated within your state as long as you do have a degree. Usually when you go to a different state, they ask for a registration, and that is where issues start when you have a permitted seat. When it is your state, that may not be insisted. Or there may have been court cases where candidates would have got temporary registration or temporary orders allowing them to practice within that state. Second, there may be rare deviations where a permitted seat was allowed to be registered by the state medical council because they did not have the right validations in terms of the total number of candidates that could be registered in a specialty in an institute for a batch, etc. Now, these rare deviations have been corrected by NMC. So, if in an institute there are 5 seats, of which 2 are recognized and 3 are permitted in a particular specialty, the number of slots that are allowed to be registered for that particular batch in that institute in that specialty would remain only at 2 seats which are recognized, and the other 3 permitted candidates cannot register now in any state medical council. But earlier there may have been deviations. Now, once you go through these 2 questions, the impact looks huge. And there is an immediate thought of avoiding permitted seats. Do not make a decision based on this response. Like mentioned, the risk is less. We'll have a look at the next few queries and then take a decision on whether you want to take a permitted seat or not. Basically, should I completely ignore all permitted seats? Definitely no. It would be really unwise to lose a permitted seat just because someone shares these impacts with you. We just share these impacts to tell you that if it doesn't get recognized, what is the impact? There are very, very less chances of a seat getting of a seat which you have thoroughly done your analysis on being not recognized. Very, very less chances. The first 4 batches of a new course always get recognized, like we mentioned. And if it is any institute for which in a course the permission was granted in 2018-19 or later, and you join in the year 2021-22, it is safe to join. Even if deficiencies are there, only the institute will not be allowed to continue with the course over the next admission year after 2021-22, but your batch will be included in the recognized qualifications under NMC. Second, the best institutes, best courses start with permitted seats. If you're missing a permitted seat because you think it is a permitted seat, irrespective of institute you want to miss it, it is someone else's gain, straightforward. They'd be happy to take that seat. You will see in the allotment list, sir, that everyone, including toppers, take permitted seats as long as they don't have a huge risk. And especially in the best to average institutes and government institutes, everybody now usually takes a permitted seat. You can see it in the allotments as well. Unless you have information that there are high chances of a seat not getting recognized, do not take that call at all. Next is, how do I go about evaluating this? Do not be looking at what seats will have do not look at every seat and try to evaluate it. Instead, look at those last allotted seats, deemed universities or private universities, which are private institutes, those institutes where the seats are the last to be taken, or which have started very recently, etc. And then take a decision on whether you want to take that seat or not. And when you're cautious about choosing a permitted seat, don't go by past history. A senior might have told you something about not being able to practice risk, etc. Consider such feedback only in the context of that institute for that particular department, and not as a generic response on all permitted seats. Many things have changed over the last few years, so don't take a decision based on this. So fine, now I understand all about this. Still, tell me, how can I choose only recognized seats? Can I do that? Is a question. Now, there are three scenarios here. One, an institute which has only recognized seats, the question does not even arise. Two, an institute which has started a new course which has only permitted seats, the question does not even arise. Three, an institute which has a few permitted seats and a few recognized seats. Basically, some seats were recognized a few years earlier, and now the institute is adding on a few seats which are going to be permitted. Now, only in that case, let's say an institute which has 5 recognized seats and 3 permitted seats today, only in that case, you will have to take a decision on choosing only recognized seats. And it is only that scenario that you will have to decide. In All India counseling, seats are not distinguished as permitted and recognized seats. So if there are 8 seats, of which 5 are recognized and 3 are permitted, it will not be displayed as 5 recognized seats and 3 permitted seats. There will be only one seat choice, which will say this particular institute's specialty seat, this particular specialty. That's it. It will not mention permitted or recognized. So at the time of choice filling, you will not be able to choose recognized or permitted seats. So when are you assigned whether it is a recognized or permitted seats? After allotment, when you go to the institute follows an assignment logic and allots you either a recognized or a permitted seat at the time of admission. It is as per the institute's logic. Most institutes followed a merit-based rule, like the higher ranker is allotted a recognized seat and the lower ranker is allotted a permitted seat. But there are multiple factors here. There are state quota seats which have 50% allotments. There are reservation-based allotments where within reservation there may be 1 permitted, 1 recognized seats, etc. So when you go to the institute, if you are a higher ranker within your category or a higher ranker overall, insist on being assigned a recognized seat. However, note that this doesn't come with your allotment, but you have to go insist on being assigned a recognized seat. And MCC will not take responsibility for any assignment of recognized seat or permitted seat. They have been very clear about it. This all along. And in state counselings, similar to All India counselings, most states don't distinguish between permitted and recognized seats. Only very few states distinguish between permitted and recognized seats in their seat matrix or in their allotments. Like Karnataka, Himachal Pradesh, Rajasthan, Uttarakhand and Uttar Pradesh distinguish this in their seat matrix, and during choice filling, you will be able to select recognized seats or permitted seats. You will be able to select only recognized seats, or you will be able to make your choice order as first recognized seats and permitted seats. So in these states, you will be able to make a choice. You can check the seat matrix during or during choice filling. You can check the list of seats as to whether permitted or recognized is mentioned against each seat's name. And finally, so this is all about permitted and recognized seats as far as MDMS is concerned. Hopefully, by the end of this, you've understood that the risk is very, very less, and there is a fallback clause of first 4 batches, which you can rely on if you're taking a permitted seat. And the only thing you need to be aware of while choosing a seat is whether it has been permitted prior to 2017-18 or prior to that, and still not recognized yet. So it is only those seats that carry a huge risk. Hopefully, you make the right choices based on the information that has been shared. Next question is on DNB seats. What about permission and recognition of DNB seats? Are they permitted, recognized, etc.? There is no concept of recognized or permitted seats as far as DNB courses are concerned. the terms permitted or recognized are not relevant at all. So basically, when NBE receives application from an institute to start a course, NBE inspects, assesses the department, completes every assessment, and only then accredits them for a specific number of seats in each course. This accreditation is valid for 5 years from the date of accreditation. And for each batch, at the end of the course period, NBE would provide you a DNB degree certificate. Once you get the DNB degree certificate, you can register in any state medical council and practice in that state with the DNB degree certificate provided. There is no concept of getting permission, recognition, etc. As soon as you get your DNB degree, your seat is, your degree is valid for registration and practice. So all accredited seats basically are safe to join as far as DNB is concerned. The list of accredited seats can be seen in the link shared in the description. Now, we said all accredited seats are safe to join. However, there is one minor thing that you need to be aware of. There may be few cases wherein an institute's accreditation may be cancelled even during this 5-year period where they are accredited. This happens very rarely, and generally happens when students complain saying that there is no enough, there isn't enough infrastructure, enough academics, etc. in the institute, or there are violations of accreditation criteria, etc. In such a situation, NBE has a clear guideline or policy to relocate students to another institute in the same specialty. The link for that policy is also available in the description. So how this happens is, when such a situation arises and the candidate, the accreditation for the institute is going to be cancelled, the existing batches in the institute are moved to other institutes in the same specialties where there is a vacancy that exists. And if a vacancy exists, all the vacancies are circulated to the individuals, to the candidates, and the candidate chooses which institute they would like to move to. This responsibility is taken up by NBE. In case a specialty is not available, a better specialty or a specialty which is available is provided for the candidate. These are rare cases, especially when you choose an institute which is very less preferred, or there are rare issues with respect to the institute's continuance, etc. So if no seats are available in any of the previous admission sessions, then the candidate may even opt for another specialty, which may even end up being a better specialty. So as far as DNB seats are concerned, though there may be rare cases of accreditation cancellation, you're safe because NBE helps you relocate to a different institute in the same specialty usually. So this is pretty much about the permitted recognized discussions and clarifications regarding those discussions, and about DNB accreditation. The list of institutes under NMC, MDMS or diploma, the list of institutes and seats under NMC, basically running in the MDMS diploma courses, are also available in the description link, and the DNB accredited seats are also available in the description link. Hope you make the right choice and don't go by generic responses on permitted seats or accredited seats. Hopefully this video would have helped you in that. Thank you.